I'm Janet Boynes, your host from Healing and Made Free from Janet Boynes Ministries. Thank you for tuning in. I am going to be talking about struggling with addiction, alcohol, drugs, eating disorders, unwanted same-sex attraction, or even if you're somebody who is still living a homosexual life. Let me tell you something. I have survived all those things by the grace of God. I just want you to know that I am not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not a licensed counselor. I am an ordained pastor who just want to give you some really good tips on how God has set me free, how you can be set free, God's promises, what He has done for me, He will do it for you. If healing and freedom are what you want, you are at the right place at the right time. Let's get started.
I am ecstatic to have my friend, Pastor Leon Benjamin, on with me today. Pastor Benjamin, welcome to Healing and Made Free with Janet Boynes.
God bless you, Pastor Janet. This is an amazing time. Happy New Year to you and to all of your wonderful followers and those that are just looking for a change, looking for not just something to replace, but something new that is definitely going to make a mark in this year that maybe might not have the opportunity to do last year in 2022. So this is exciting. This is very exciting.
You know, it's an exciting time to be alive.
Yes, absolutely.
In this crazy world. Well, let's get right into it. You know, first, why don't you tell my audience a little bit about you? Because nobody probably knows who you are. I'm sure there are some people who know who you are because your name is out there, but some of my viewers might not know. Who is Pastor Leon Benjamin?
Well, I'm a native born Virginian, born in Richmond, Virginia. And so I've lived here basically all my life, except for the travels that I've had the opportunity to do. Mm-hmm. But I'm born right here in Richmond, Virginia, native Virginian. And I went to Huguenot High School. At that time, it was 3 schools combined. I don't know how they did it, but it was Jefferson, Huguenot, Wythe. But
oh, wow.
I went to all 3, but I graduated from Huguenot High School. I attended University of Virginia, also attended Virginia Union University, and I got my degree, actually, a Christian degree in religious studies. So in biblical religious studies, I got my bachelor's in religious studies and my master's in Christian education at Rovere University.
Wow.
And so then I ended up going into the military, where I, Navy combat veteran, served in the Gulf Wars during Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I received the Battle E Meritorious Award, a bronze medal, sea deployment, a recommendation. It was a lot of Southwest Award for being out there in the Southwest Sea. So it's a lot of stuff happened during that time. I actually gave my life to Christ when I was in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Were you married then when you gave your heart to Christ?
I was not married at that time when I was in the war. I came back and went to work, of course, after I came back. And I worked. I met my wife, Maria. We got married early, very young age. And that's my only wife.
Thank you for saying that, because you got to work the marriage. It works.
Yeah. Yeah. So we celebrated 31 years 2 weeks ago.
Praise God. Congratulations. And you have some kids.
3 beautiful kids that are doing great. And we started, I worked at the post office for about, man, my goodness, 10 years or so. But then the Lord started pulling on my heartstrings, and I felt led to go full-time ministry. I mean, I was already in ministry, but being led to go full-time ministry and leaving the post office was a big decision.
Right.
Trusting in the Lord. And we started working and serving in the community. We built a daycare, which provided a safe harbor for families and children. And we even was able to accommodate some that came for free. We made accommodations so that other contributions that came in, some of our children came for free.
Right.
And so being able to also put together a marriage program, we did a lot of marriages, making it safe, and especially in the Black community, you know how it is, the
I
broken
do.
home,
I do.
the children without their fathers. And so we put together a marriage guidance program that helped bring homes back together even and marry some people who never thought they would even think about getting married.
Yeah. Are your children serving the Lord?
Yes. Yes.
All three.
Yes. They fear God. Trust me, they fear God. They don't do everything right, but they fear the Lord.
None of us do. None of us do. None of us. You know, you are just a breath of fresh air. I love, whenever, and I haven't been on probably in a long time, your Tuesday night prayer. I know, Alveda King introduced us. I need to get back on that. It's just my life has been a little busy and crazy, and sometimes off the record, I'll share that with you. But you are hanging out with, Donald Trump. You go to Mar-a-Lago. You've been at the White House, and God has really put you in a position as a Black man to be a leader for such a time as this. I know you are running for public office. Before I get into that, I am a Republican, and I know you are a Republican. However, before we get into you running for office, why do so many Black people stay Democrat when, our ancestors were Democrat, but you're the only one I can really ask this question. You're Elvita. I'll be having her on next month, but why do we just stay where our ancestors were? It's almost like we're afraid to move beyond that.
Well, it's kind of weird. You go back in history after the Civil War, those Blacks that came out of that Civil War were actually first Republicans. And,
really?
And so the first Black caucus was basically a Republican caucus.
No.
Totally opposite of what we see today.
Exactly.
And that's because they understood that Abraham Lincoln was not just fighting for Black people, he was fighting for all people to understand how important it was for the United States of America to represent all people and not marginalize people because of the color of their skin, because of their gender or where they came from. And so when I talk to Blacks, and I let them know, even when I was pastoring in the beginning, I was still voting Democrat. And because I didn't put the two and two together, that my values and what the party represents. Now, let me tell you something. There's some beautiful people who are in the Democrat Party, but I'm talking about a platform that literally now has taken a sharp left turn. And so when I talk to people about values, conservative values, about the home, the family, about life, about hard work and good work ethics, and about religious liberty. I mean, about worship. Come on, nobody like Black folk.
Exactly.
Come on, you're not gonna keep Black people out of church. I don't care if they went to the club that Saturday. They gonna get up and go to church.
Hey, that's what our parents taught us and our grandparents.
Yeah, you gonna get up. I don't care how long. I don't care how long you've been up. You gonna get to church. And so all these things that I did, I'm saying for me, that when I found out that my values do not line up with the Democrat Party, it was a realized transition. So it didn't happen overnight. I just started working with conservatives and Republicans, regardless of color. I mean, I wasn't looking at color. I wasn't looking at, the color of somebody's skin. I was looking at their values, what they represent.
Right.
And I said, I believe in that. I believe in marriage. I believe in the home, the nuclear family, a father and a mother. I believe that our children need good education, and they shouldn't be pinned down to a zip code.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I believe, that we ought to have safe communities.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why we built our daycare. We wanted
Right.
a safe harbor for children. We call it a second home.
Yeah, that's
you know,
awesome.
and so when I made the transition, boy, did I get some people alarmed and upset with me.
I feel your
I didn't
pain.
see it as something as breaking family tradition. I saw it as something that I thought our family was already doing.
But Pastor, me being a Republican, I don't know if it's the same for you, but I am not invited to a lot of Black churches because I am a Republican. I don't know if I know a little more, Black people that are Republicans than I am, but I don't go to any Democratic church or a lot of Black churches because I am Republican.
Well, what I have built over the years is I got a lot of friends, pastors who are Democrat, and they know my position as a Republican, but we still share
Amen.
common values.
Exactly.
And so I preached in their churches, and they've allowed me to speak in their churches, and I love them, not based upon party.
Right.
I love them because they're my brother and sister in Christ.
Exactly.
And so I've been allowed to preach in a few churches, and I know it's difficult sometimes because of the peer pressure.
Mm-hmm.
The peer pressure, not on my end. I'm good.
Yeah.
But for some, the peer pressure is tremendous that if they even think like they are connecting with a Black Republican,
Come on.
goodness,
I
that
know.
is anathema.
and they're afraid of the backlash, and which is pretty sad, even though, as you said, they are brothers and sisters in Christ. And I have a lot of friends that are, Democrat, but as far as crossing that line, I don't know, they get a little pushback. But let me get back on track. I took a bunny rabbit trail, but you are running for office. What office are you running for? And you're running for in Virginia, is that correct?
I am running in Virginia in a special election, February 21st, 2023, for U.S. House seat in the 4th District. So U.S. House of Representatives in the 4th Congressional District. My opponent passed away about 3 weeks after the November 8th elections. And God bless his family. We're praying for his family, that God keep them. But the governor now had to, he couldn't do an appointment like in some states. He had to open up what is called a special elections. And so in doing that, there was a primary. I was in a primary. I had to do a primary all over again.
Right.
And I won the primary conclusively.
Mm-hmm.
So the people spoke, saying, okay, we don't want somebody coming out of nowhere just to come in there and say, hey, let's run in this special elections. They knew that the person who had already put in the groundwork, who had already done all the heavy lifting, the name ID and recognition already there, the best chance for us to take this seat would be re-electing Leon Benjamin as the Republican nominee. And that's what happened about 3 weeks ago in December, the end of December.
So do you have the position now?
So now I am the Republican nominee going into the special elections. Early voting starts January 6th. So they still have early voting.
Oh,
my goodness.
In 2 days.
In 2 days, yes. And then the election actually is held on Tuesday, February the 21st, 2023. Now, I am standing strong, and this is being a native Virginian, born in Richmond, and as a Black man, knowing the struggles going on in my community. I grew up in Fairfield Court, on Rosetta Street. Those in Richmond know what I'm talking about. I grew up in many of the places now that people might consider, my goodness, I was poor. I grew up, on Clay Street. People might know that downtown Richmond. These were small houses. Now, when I was young, a small house don't look small.
Exactly.
You're little, every house looks big.
Exactly.
So when I went back to
Exactly.
Clay Street and looked at those houses, I'm like, what? You know, because the living room and the kitchen and the bedroom was the same room.
Exact. Oh man, I feel you.
You know what I mean?
I
My
know what you
sister
mean.
and I slept, my mom and dad slept in the back room, and my sister and I slept in the living room, which was our bedroom, which was right
Wow.
next to the kitchen.
Right.
So I grew up poor, but I didn't know I was poor,
Yeah.
you know,
So go ahead.
and we moved around, and I grew up in the West End. I grew up in eventually landed in South Side, living in Lothian Village. That's where I finished high school. And
Hmm.
I, you know, I was like any other kid, just trying to, finish school and do the right things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Didn't know the Lord had a calling on my life.
Yeah. You know now.
I know now. Woo! And so this
Hey, we
whole
we weren't
thing,
ready for it back then.
no. So me wanting to represent people who have been marginalized, especially in the Black community, and who have been stepped on and have been disenfranchised into thinking
Hmm.
that this is the best that can happen. And the Democrats have mismanaged so much in my district. And we see it, the high crime, the high food prices, gas prices. It's time for new representation.
So this position, this special election, what will it allow you to do there in Virginia to help the people? I mean, you're talking about high food prices, high this. Will you have some say so in lowering some of these prices?
Yeah, my vote. Now, my vote in Washington, D.C. will not only represent the people nationally, but right there locally in my district, that I will align myself with people who want to lower the inflation. My
So are
vote
you, so will this take you to Capitol Hill?
yes, this is a
Praise the
U.S. House seat.
Lord.
Yeah, this is a U.S. House seat. So my vote will impact those that have been marginalized in my district when it comes
Good.
to the high food prices, eggs, 38%, the high gas prices,
Hmm.
manufacturing jobs that need to come back to the U.S. My
Right.
vote will help bring those jobs back. The backing the police to get the criminals off the street. My vote in the U.S. House seat will impact the fourth congressional district, where people now can start to see prosperity, and
Hmm.
and as I say, a rising tide raises all ships. So black, white, red, yellow, brown, doesn't matter what color you are. Um, this will be a special election, which I believe will be a race that does not hone in on political agendas or party agendas, but transcend party lines. And that's what the fourth needs right now. It doesn't need
Yeah.
another political party agenda, whether Republican or Democrat. It
Hmm.
needs someone who actually says, look, we need somebody that's going to represent all the people in the fourth, not just special interest groups, okay?
Yeah.
And not divide us between race and gender and sex. I mean, come on, that
Yeah.
needs to end. And with
Yes.
this special elections, there's the opportunity that people have been looking for. I believe a breath of fresh air for a long, long time. The Democrat leadership has literally ruined all hopes of prosperity and increase and growth in our educational system.
Right.
Everything has been wrecked. I mean, it's just been shipwrecked, and it's time for new leadership.
And I agree with you. However, and some of the things you were referring to, like homosexuality, which I don't want to go down that track because I'm interviewing Matt Staver, the founder of Liberty Council, at 1 o'clock today. But when we look at the Republican Party to address some of these issues, homosexuality or the marriage amendment, all that, it's almost like they don't even want to touch it up there on Capitol Hill. That's the question I'm going to be asking him. How do we get to them to make some changes, to want to get involved in some of these issues? I'm hoping when you're on Capitol Hill that you'll be able to bring a lot of this stuff to light and say, look, we need to bring people like Janet Points to Capitol Hill to talk about these issues. We need to make some changes. Then Nancy Pelosi signed something about the marriage amendment for, gays and stuff. I mean, they're making steps, and we're not making the steps that we should be making so we can protect our children and our marriages. What are you conveying to your people in that district so you can win this office? Because voting's right around the corner.
Yeah. Again, when it comes to the issues, as a man of faith and as a Black man who's seen the family just torn apart in my district, that the Bible is not up for argument. I mean, if people want to argue with me about gender and race and sex, they got to take that up with God.
Exactly.
God created male and female. Last time I checked that, and I didn't have any say so in that. I mean, could you imagine me telling God, no, don't do that? but bringing things back down to reality is people are hurting, and what we are going to bring, and what I'm going to bring to this district that has been missing is a hope to get these young little boys, especially Black men, have been put in jail.
Yeah.
To get them out of harm's way and to start to let them know that you are a responsible human being who God has designed and who has a place in society to be a father, to be a husband. Let's say be a son first to your mother and father, to be a husband to your wife, and a father to your children. That's the order. And I found out statistics says if you do things in the right order, then crime lessens. The statistics are out there. When you do it in the right way, which is finish school, get married, okay, have children, in that order, crime lowers. The breakup of the home, the breakup of the family, the statistics say that lowers. The dropping out of school lowers.
Yeah,
Do it the right way. I mean, these are all statistics. People go look that up.
Right.
And I want to bring back that awareness again, that we can turn the ship and we can raise the tide, and so that everyone can have now a fair opportunity, as our Constitution says, that we have this truth self-evident that all men are created what? Equal.
Exactly. And that goes down the line when you were talking about, just Black families in general. We have so many Black men in jail who might have had a bag of cocaine on, and they're in there for life. I'm exaggerating, but some of them need to be released, into the world. And I believe that they will do good to society, because if they're doing good in jail and they're leading programs, I believe they will carry that out here. Is it a possibility to even get some of these men, whether you're Black, white, Hispanic, out of the prison system, getting them back in the street, hopefully disciple them so they can be great citizens? Is that a possibility even?
Well, I've seen it even in working with some of the community activism initiatives like the First Step Act and criminal justice reform, working with the Federal Bureau of Prisons with the BOP, how these incentives do work when you put people, men and women, I call them returning citizens, on a track to be productive by going through programs before they even get out. So there are initiatives, policies that can be written to ensure that the best track of success can occur when we lockstep with those who have a heart and a mind. Now, true heart criminals, we know they have a place they have to be. But those who sincerely want another chance, a second chance at life, we can put initiatives in place through good policy that allows us to lock arms with these returning citizens and allow them to be on a track that gets them out, first and foremost, with their head up. That means they get their GED, they can get degrees, they can get in a safe environment where they are held accountable and walk through when they need money to pay off their, fines. Some of them have fines when they get out. My goodness.
I know.
My God. And they can have money to get them clothes. I mean, you'd be surprised what you just don't have when you get out of prison.
Oh, I know, because my brother was in prison all his life. And when he finally got out almost 10 years ago, he's been hey, they gave him a few bucks and the clothes that he went in jail with and shipped him out the door. Thank God he had his family around, because he would have been living on the streets and probably back in jail. But you're going to have challenges. What are those challenges, and how can people help you?
Well, first and foremost, as a leader who happens to be a Black man,
Yeah.
we know that raising the bar, that's going to be the challenge to get to the hearts and minds. And I believe that the hearts of the people are in the hands of the Lord. The heart of the king is in the hand of the Lord, and he turns it whatsoever he will. That there's going to have to be a come to Jesus moment. Everyone's going to have to do a self-inspection of, why should I vote this way again if I have not seen any changes? That's the definition of true insanity, to keep doing the same things over and over again, expecting a different result. So there's going to have to be a come to Jesus moment and a real heart moment saying, I can't do this way again. And now I represent that change and that new perspective that, look, if it hasn't been working for you, let's try something else. And I know that sounds simple, but if it hasn't been working,
but it's the truth. It's the truth.
And I want to get deep. I mean, I can talk about numbers and factors and statistics and ratios and demographic, geographic, and, heavy D's, low D. I mean, I can get into all that political stuff, but the bottom line is, it has not been working, and the poor management system of the Democrat Party is where we are right now in this mess today. High gas prices, high inflation,
it's
open
a mess.
borders, fentanyl that's crossing over right now.
Oh, yeah. And I know people, family members who are dying from that.
300 American citizens daily. That's the average right now with the fentanyl that's crossing over. And these are issues that a Congress who is sensitive to the hearts and the voice of the people will now begin to curtail this administration that is literally gone far left to the extreme. And allowing foreign nations to just look at us and laugh at us like we're a joke. No respect on the foreign policy arena anymore. Military needs to be strengthened again. And so they have a chance in the fourth to say, you know what? Yes, he's a Republican. He's a Black man. He's a leader. But let's not play party politics. Let's transcend party lines and let's look for someone who can represent all people and not be marginalized. I think that's the opportunity that this special election opens up. And they can go to my website, Benjamin, the number 4 Congress. Join the team at Benjamin, the number 4 Congress.com and join the team. They can donate.
Yes. Can they donate on that? Can they donate on that site?
They can donate on that site at Benjamin, the number 4 Congress. I sometimes, forget to ask for the money, but my campaign manager has drilled me down.
I understand.
I get so excited because I just want to help people.
Yeah.
I forget to
and then
ask
you forget
for the money.
about the other important things, Hey, I hear about that all the time. How else can they? Now you're on social media too, and we'll address this at the end. But you're on social media too. You're on Facebook. You're on Instagram. You're on Twitter.
Instagram. Yep, they can follow me there.
Rumble.
They can find me on Rumble. I don't know. I got rid of my TikTok because
I'm about to get rid of mine too.
I'm with the government. I'm like, hey, they already spied on me already, so I just went on and deleted that thing and got it off my phone. But
you might as well get it done.
I'm Truth Social. They can follow us in some of those other places. Getter. But
and we'll have that down on the bottom of the screen to your website where people can reach out to you. What are the top issues you believe must be addressed in this run for U.S. Representative seat, or even once you're in? Because I believe you're going to be in. I believe you're going to win this.
There's one where, like I said, as a husband of 31 years, a father of 3, a pastor, a mentor. I've seen families, come and go, and they need help. And so I call it the money follows the child. The educational system has gone so far off the left. And in the 4th district, we need a different avenue to help moms or dads send their children to the school that can best educate them. So I call it the money follows the child, where it doesn't follow the institution. Because if you are sending your children to a failing institution,
right,
and they're still getting the money, then who are we helping? Are we helping the institution? Or are we helping the child? So we need to be able to back our parents and to begin to let them know that they will have a say so even in the curriculums being taught their children. CRT and all these other teachings that are on the shelves, the bookshelves of our libraries, that are teaching children about things that should not be taught to our children.
Exactly.
Our parents, protecting our children in the bathrooms even. I mean, these are simple things. Protecting our children in sports. These are things that we're going to address because that impacts the family. The next thing, of course, is the economy, the inflation, curbing the spending, the radical spending that has been occurring in this last administration has literally caused a district like mine where people are trying to make a decision to put gas in their car or pay their rent. I mean, that's not a good place to be in, and whether or not they're going to have a good Christmas. This Christmas has just passed. I mean, things that they shouldn't even be worrying about.
Yeah.
So dealing with the inflation, the economy, and then backing the police, getting the criminals off the street. Our murder rate is just off the chain here in this area, Richmond and Petersburg. We just lost a young lady named Paris. Young girl, just shy of her 9th birthday, was shot down a few weeks ago in my district. And they can go.
It's happening too often. It's happening too often.
Yeah.
And if we don't back our police department, I mean, not all the police department are good. They need to get rid of, some of those that are there, but those that are good, we need to support them and back them so we can get some of these people off the street. These gangs, and they're fighting for position and fighting for money and drugs. And this is my territory and this is not your territory. And guess who's suffering? Our children.
Our children. Yes,
our children.
It looked like everything is leading back to protecting our children. Protecting our children. I'm not ashamed of this, but my mom could have gotten rid of me, but she didn't. And I was
exactly.
She was in high school, okay, but she decided to have me. So I believe in protecting the children, the sanctity of the unborn. And I know people can argue about whether it should be 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 14 weeks. But definitely, we're not talking about going all the way to the last term and getting rid of the child even after they're born. I mean, there are countries like in Australia and in France that have that 12 to 14 week threshold where you cannot touch that child after those 12 weeks or 14 weeks. And we got to be able to let our mothers know, especially our Black mothers. Come on.
Yeah.
There are alternatives. There are alternatives. And like adoption, grandma, grandma go.
I know.
Grandma gonna be mad, but she gonna take care of that grandbaby.
and grandma always does is just that is so many Black men and women, since we're talking about Black, that feel like they can't get from beyond, where they grew up. I made it out. Yeah. You got to want it bad enough. I had nothing special to leave, those row homes with roaches and mice and being raped and all that. I just made a decision. I wasn't going to live that life. And whatever it took for me to get out of there, I was going to do that. And I think they can do it too. They just need people to come alongside them, encourage them. I know back in Norristown, Pennsylvania, where I went to high school, I even reached back to some of my friends that I went to high school with, Pastor, and said, look, I don't have a lot of money, but I got enough money to get you out there and get you in treatment. Do you want the help? They didn't want the help.
Yeah.
They didn't want the two that I wanted to help are dead now. My age, they're gone from drugs. They have to want it. And a lot of them just don't want it. They're so content and comfortable in their misery. They don't want out. And I'm hoping that will change. And that can only change through prayer and God reaching down. But then again, God's a gentleman. God is not going to pull somebody out of something that don't want to come out.
That's
and
right.
We can only do our part and let people know that we're here for them. But I'm willing to reach back if they're willing to to reach their hand to meet me halfway, but it just seems like some of them don't want it, but there's many out there that do. And we're talking to those who want to get better and do better. And we want to be able to support them. You said something before we go that I think is really important. You said the money should follow the child. In your area and other districts and Black schools, are there buses to be able to bus our children to these better schools or not?
There is a bus system that can be used. And again, we can be very creative. I mean, I know that there are organizations that will volunteer their vans and volunteer their transportation vehicles. There is a creative way. Where there's a will, there's a way for these children to get to these better schools. Charter school programs as well, homeschool incentives as well. And we need to wrap our arms around the families again. And in the 4th Congressional District, they just need the loving arms of a caring representative that they can have access to and not be marginalized with party agendas. It's time for the party agendas to be thrown to the side and now have a hope and a future that looks beyond color and race and gender and all that kind of stuff that marginalizes people and put them in a box, and now bring right representation. Because of the poor management of the Democrat Party, it's time for a change. And I know some people may not even look our way, but there, I believe, is still an open window, an open door in this special elections, that if people can actually see, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that if I have an issue, I can bring it? Yes.
Exactly.
I can talk about it? Yes. I'm not going to say, no, you're not with my party. I can't listen to you because you're not with my party. Oh, the devil is a liar. And I'm getting preachy now, but I'm just saying, wait a minute.
I'm glad, because people need to know. I know I reached out to President Obama. I didn't vote for him the first time or the second time. I don't vote for people because of the color of my skin. But I sent letters to him. I reached out to him, Biden, wanting to talk with them, but they're not going to reach across party lines because I don't support their worldview. And that's pretty sad, because they always say, well, you might not vote for me, but I'm here for you too. That's a lie. It's a lie. It's just words coming out of their mouth. But I'm also going to say this and go on the record. I think even many of the Republican Party, like your new blood going on in Capitol Hill. We need some new blood in the Republican Party. I mean, there's people who've been there 30 years. It's time for some, fresh blood, going into those positions. I wish things change where you can only be in office for like 15 years and then somebody else has to come in. Because I just think we need to see more change, or more of a revolving door. That's just my thought. But otherwise, I feel like we're still getting the same old thing.
Yeah, well, you're not estranged from that, because that's what our founding fathers also had in mind, that they would go in, serve with their ideas that worked at home. Right. First, they got to have ideas that worked at home and bring them into this Congress and make those ideas into policies that work now, not just for your home, but for everyone. Right. And then leave. Don't stay there forever. Go back home.
Yeah. Give somebody else the chance to come in. It's almost like they're so content in their position. It's like they don't leave. Everybody keeps voting for them. But I have to admit, they're not all doing anything. You know what I mean? They're getting their paycheck and they're just sitting there doing the same old thing, whether you're Republican or Democrat. I'm not afraid to call them out. I just think we need fresh blood in the Republican Party on Capitol Hill. Amen. A lot of people have said, Janet, why don't you run for office? That's not where I feel is my calling. If I walk away from my calling, it's like, who's going to do it? If not me, then who? But if the Lord calls me to run for an office, you can bet your bottom dollar I will run. And I guarantee you, because God called me, I'm going to win. Not because of nothing I did, but because of everything that he does. What can be done? Well, should more people run for public office? Even more Black people should they run?
It should be a common thing amongst every citizen as a civic duty, not just for the elite, so to speak. Those that look the part, dress the part,
Wasn't there a
act upon.
19-year-old that just ran and won something in one party somewhere? This little
It might
young
have,
kid?
it might have been somewhere there where the age limit for that particular office, because I know for Congress, you got to be at least 25 years old. But
Oh, praise God. 19. I mean,
but
come
yeah,
on.
but if they are able to, the our youth should be being groomed, just like in the Old Testament in Leviticus, how the youth were being groomed to serve in the temple. From age 7 to age 30. So that kind of gives you an idea why Jesus started his ministry at age 30.
Yes, he did.
But there's a grooming process. And just like in any other thing, it should be happening in our civic arena as well. And so this should be something that's commonly talked about on the local level. All politics is local. And so local action leads to national impact. And so that's running for school board, city council, superintendent, supervisor, all those positions. Don't just shoot for, because I ran the local city unit, in Richmond. So I didn't just jump into Congress. I actually ran a local unit and got beat up down on the local level. So I know what it
You said
feels
beat
like.
up.
When people don't agree
man.
with you and they want you to sway this way, and all that politics stuff,
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody should be involved. Everybody.
Well, you're doing great work out there, and I'm excited to see the end results, because I really believe that you're going to be the representative for Virginia. How can people out there pray for you?
Number one, they can pray for my sanity, that I don't lose it. I'm serious. It's slow to speak. I think the Bible says about be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath, for the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. So
right.
Pray that I stay sane in all this process, because
right.
running in this election, I've ran before, so I know there's a process. Also pray that our families are protected in all of this, that our ministries are protected, our businesses are protected, and pray that we raise the money.
Yes.
That we raise the actual money that is needed to do commercials and to do billboards, to buy literature and signs. It's going to be a quick race. So everything's going to happen. Boom, boom, boom. We got less than 50 days. It's going to happen. February 21st is right around the corner.
Well, we're believing the Lord that you're going to win this spot. We need you on Capitol Hill, but we also need you on the pulpit too, know?
Yeah.
But being on Capitol Hill, I think, is going to make a big difference if, when you get there. I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when you get there. We're speaking with Pastor Leon Benjamin. Pastor Benjamin, can you give my audience again how they can reach out to you, how they can support you, your website, and all the other places that you're on?
Yes.
Do you have a podcast?
We have a podcast that we're working on for the information as far as the race is concerned. But they can reach out to us at Benjamin4Congress.com, Benjamin4Congress.com. Any information we put out there, they can go right there to that website, and they can see all the updates and things that we have there with this campaign run. Me and my wife have a marriage podcast that we are putting together, just to put out more teachings. We've been doing this for a long time, but my wife and I just want to keep sharing. We have a book that we wrote called 3 Keys to Successful Marriage.
How can they get that?
They can go on Amazon right now, Amazon.com, and get that 3 Keys to Successful Marriage.
You mean Amazon still has it there?
Yeah. They haven't removed it.
They haven't removed it yet.
Yeah, it's still there.
That's exciting.
And so there are ways that they can support us that way, and just keep praying. Our church here in Virginia is New Life Harvest Church, and then our church in Tulsa is the Real Remnant Church in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I didn't even know you had a church in Tulsa. My conference this year is in Tulsa. this year.
Wow.
On June 10th, we're going to be in Tulsa. We'll talk more about that at another time. Pastor Benjamin, thank you so much for being on Healing and Made Free. Those of you who are listening, please support Pastor Benjamin and his family. Pray for protection, support him financially. Most importantly, get his book. Go out there and get his book, and let's support one another. We love you. Thank you for joining us, Pastor Benjamin, Healing and Made Free with Janet Points. It's been a blessing.
God bless you, Pastor Janet. Love you so much. Thank you for having me on your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to Healing and Made Free with Janet Points. I want you to know that God is no respecter of persons. What he's done for me, what he has done for those that are guests on this show, he will do it for you as well. If you are struggling with anything, please do not hesitate to reach out. We will do our best to assist you in any way that we can. Please go to my website, janetpointsministries.com. We love you, but most importantly, God loves you. I hope you have a blessed day.